sometimes we need to just have fun with food, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make chocolate glazed caramel apples. They're great for kids, and they encourage them to actually eat the apple, which sometimes we may have trouble with. They also encourage them to eat the peel, which is another valuable component of the apple. I have one package of caramels here, the 15-ounce package, and I spent some time unwrapping, which is always my least favorite part of cooking, is unwrapping little things. And there are about 50 in each package, so you'll have a period of time that's fun. Now, you could do this two ways. I'm doing it with a double boiler that I just created. If you don't have one, you can do this. A double boiler simply means you have a pan down here that's got water about halfway up boiling, and then you put another pan, or in this case a metal bowl or a glass bowl, over the top of it so that it doesn't actually touch the water, and that heat will come up through it and slowly melt the caramel. You could do this on a saucepan, but right directly on the stove, but if you do that, you're going to have to stir it a lot and stay with it all the time. This way it doesn't take quite as much of my attention. To that, I'm adding about 2 teaspoons of water. That'll help get things going a little bit. And we're just going to let this cook over that simmering water until those caramels are melted and smooth. We'll stir them every little bit. And while that's going on, we'll move over and look and see what we're going to be doing with our apples. This is going to make 6 caramel apples, and so I have the 6 apples. Now make sure that you wash them well, because everything that you see here is going to be consumed, with the exception of the stick here, and the core is still inside. We do leave the peel on because we know that there are more of components there that can help reduce the risk of some kinds of cancer. The apple itself is high in pectin, so we want to make sure that we consume as much of it as we can, as opposed to peeling it the way kids often do. Now, we need a popsicle stick or a craft stick that's going to go in the middle here. Don't use one that you've saved from the popsicles during the summer. Get a new one for this project. And then also use a fairly small apple, because we're going to, while these have the caramel on them and they're going to have some chocolate on them, we don't want to eat too much of either one of those things. So a small apple would be the best choice. If you can find some that weigh 3 to 4 ounces, you're probably right in the ballpark. Now, if there's a large stem protruding, take that out, because it's going to kind of get in the way of what we're going to do here. This one doesn't have one right now. And then you're going to take the craft stick. Now, there's a couple of things that often happen. One is that people take that and push real hard, and that bruises the bottom of the apple. But we're going to try and eat that, so we don't want to eat the bruise, and we don't want to cut off the caramel, for Pete's sake. So I found an alternative method is to take a small hammer and gently tap until you can hear it go in. You can feel it, actually. It goes into the core. And it moves smoother. It's like going through a nail through the wall, and once you get through the sheetrock, it goes in real quick if you didn't hit a stud. It's kind of the same thing here. So I've got 6 of them ready to go. I've got them on, I've got a aluminum foil covered baking sheet ready to put them on once we get the caramel there. So we're just going to wait on our caramel to get melted, and then we'll go on to the next step. All right, notice how we've gotten these all nice and smooth now. It'll take you 15 to 20 minutes to get it to that stage. And then we're going to stir in about 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla and just blend that in. And then you're ready for the apples, which is the fun part. Now, in order to keep anybody from getting burned, what I'm going to recommend is that you take this off the heat. If it starts to get too thick before you get done with the apples, just put it back on the heat, but you don't want to leave it there at this point. All right, now grab your apple and just spin it around in there. And while you're rolling it around, you're going to get a lot of caramel on there. It's not all going to be where you want it to be. And you may want to use a spoon to help move that around a little bit. But we're going to leave a fair amount of the apple exposed. If you use a Granny Smith apple, you may even get more color contrast. But any kind of more tart apple will work well. Scrape the bottom of it off, because you don't want a lot of caramel sitting on the bottom, and it's going to roll down the sides. And you're simply going to do all 6 of them that way, and this will be enough caramel to do completely cover all of them. Now, if you choose, your apples can be done. You may just want to do the caramel. Either way, though, you're going to take this and put it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes, and that gives the caramel time to set. Otherwise, it's going to be too sticky, but it forms, it resets and forms a hard enough shell on it that you're not going to have to worry about the stickiness. You can see here, this is one that we did that doesn't have any continued steps to it. If you want this one, after about 30 minutes has gone by, then you're just simply going to take a few more ingredients. Let me get the caramel out of the way here. Get a small saucepan, and to that we're going to add about 1/4 of a cup of light corn syrup. This will work much better if you first spray the container that you're going to put the corn syrup in, either your measuring cup. In this case, I sprayed the measuring cup before that, and that way the corn syrup will come out real easy. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting the corn syrup to get it out of there. Also, 2 tablespoons of butter, and we're just going to put this on our heat and bring that just to a boil. Now remember, don't do this step until you have the last step done and they've been in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. Once those come to a boil, we're going to add the chocolate to that. We'll take it off the heat again and add the chocolate to it. But first we need this to come just to a boil. Don't let it boil very long. Okay. This is just boiling now, so we're going to add our chocolate to this. Now this chocolate, you'll notice this was chocolate chips, but it's a little bit warm out here in the garden today and I didn't have it in the ice chest. So it is now already done some melting. We're going to add this to the mixture that we've already melted up. And we're simply going to stir that around until it's all combined. Now, if your heat doesn't turn off quickly, this heat does turn off really fast. Once we turn off the element, the heat is basically gone. If you have gas, it may work also. If you have an electric range, make sure you take it off the heat so that you can stir that in. And that one's ready to go. And then it's simply a matter of taking the apple that you have with caramel on it, and again running it around, this time in the chocolate, until you get a nice coat on there. Again, scraping off the bottom. I like to leave enough so that you could still see the caramel that you've had, so that everybody knows they're getting all the different layers they're getting. And again, those are going to go back in the refrigerator, probably for another 30 minutes, just so they have time to set. And then you're ready for the fun time when you bring everybody together, and this can be part of a party, it can be part of a special event, or just after school snack on one of the days of the week. Not an everyday choice, obviously, but this is a fun way to enjoy apples, whether you're a kid or whether you're just a kid at heart. This is chocolate glazed carameled apples. For Oklahoma Gardening, I'm Barbara Brown.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.